Hello everyone, welcome to part 14 of Let's Play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. We're starting into Marble Garden Zone, and I'm gonna find the motherload of special rings here. I mean, I think I find 5 in total, and I'm not even sure if that's all of them. Because Marble Garden is a huge zone, as I've said, and there's just so much to explore. I mean, I go down pathways I never knew existed before. So without further ado, let's get started here. The first part, actually for the most part, Marble Garden is the same as with Sonic as it is with Knuckles. Well, here's the first one, and yes, I do get this emerald, as we can see. Funny thing is, the one that I screwed up on last time is the same one I screwed up in the Sonic playthrough. And I'm gonna screw up on it again this time. And I was starting to get kinda pissed off at it. Anyway, as I was saying, for Knuckles' portion, the Marble Garden Zone is about the same as with Sonic's. Until the end near the second act. That's when it starts to change. Now go left here, because there's another special ring you can get to. Just climb up there, and there will be a sign saying, go through here. And that's another Chaos Emerald for me. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes in, and I just got 2 Chaos Emeralds. Although, granted, those special stages took longer when I actually did them. But I'm cutting them out because we've seen it all before. Nothing changes with them, except you're playing as Knuckles and he has a different sprite. But yeah, not a whole lot to say now, so where was I with my Sonic history there? My journeys with Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what I'll call it. Let's see, I believe I left off with, we had a Game Boy Advance, and Sonic Advance 3 was a game that I own, and I still own, and it's a great game, and if people don't like 3D Sonic and want to go back to 2D Sonic without going back to the old Genesis games, check out the Advance series, it's definitely worth it. Oh, there's another special stage. Not even 3 minutes in and we got 3. So after Sonic Advance, that was... Nah, I wouldn't say that's around the time I started getting into emulators yet. So the next Sonic game that I experienced was Shadow the Hedgehog, which was a game my brother rented. And it was really not that great. He owns it now because I got it for him as a birthday present one year. Yeah, I'm a great brother, aren't I? Actually, I'll take a minute to get away from that. This section here, I didn't know existed. This was completely new to me, and so I had to explore, look for special rings. Now, this guy goes up there and starts drilling, and you see things crumbling a lot. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm not sure, maybe the ceiling's falling or something? I don't see it falling. Because you do eventually come to a portion where you have to hit this thing to move on, and then it stops. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. That's what I get for finding a new place, though. Those goddamn spike balls. I didn't like them with Sonic, I don't like them with Knuckles. Thankfully, I got 30 rings right there. So as I said, Shadow the Hedgehog, I never really got into it. This was when Sonic started taking dark turn. But yeah, back to this special stage, which I fucked up again, as you can see. Oops. Now after Shadow, I think that was around the time I started getting into emulators. Because, that was when I started playing the other Sonic Advance games. Oh, and not just that, I started getting into some, the Sonic Mega Collection, and I started finding other games that I'd never played, or in the case of Sonic Spinball, getting back into it. I got to play Sonic 3D Blast for the first time. That game sucks. Actually, a fun fact, Sonic 3 was supposed to be like Sonic 3D Blast. Thankfully, that didn't come to light. We wouldn't have gotten this awesome game, and we would have got a pretty crappy game like Sonic 3D Blast. I actually always have had a hatred for that game because that was like, I always saw it for the Saturn, and when I was young it was like, well, why don't they make Genesis games anymore? We can't have a Saturn, we have a Genesis. Yeah, I used to not like the Saturn, but I have to admit, if I ever found one today, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. I'd walk in the door and my dad would say, well, what's in the bag? I bought a game system. Why? I wanted it. God damn it, Morgan. Alright, mid-boss time. This one's a bit different. He doesn't lower as much as he did with Sonic, so you have to jump on that spinning spike platform. It just makes it take a little bit longer. See? All done. So we'll be getting into Act 2, where it'll be pretty much exactly the same for the most part, but I'll start talking about that again when I get to the new part. Because Knuckles does eventually get a different part in Marble Garden, and a completely different boss fight too, because you don't have Tails to help you. Although, through some exploits you can get to Sonic's route, and you can fight Sonic's boss. Tails will come and pick Knuckles up, and Knuckles actually does have a unique sprite for when Tails is carrying him. I think that's interesting. Obviously I'm not going to show it off, but just because I'm bad with these exploits and crap in this game. There are a lot, and I know there's a guy who does videos for glitches and bugs in all of Sonic 3 and Knuckles and does a level-by-level breakdown. I watched them all over a course of 2 days one time. I don't know if it was worth it or not, but it was interesting at least. So I was getting into emulators, I was getting into the Mega Collection, started playing games I'd never played before. Oh, and speaking of the Mega Collection, yeah, it's got the Game Gear games, but never really got into them. I was never really big on 8-bit gaming. Like, I can't even get into a lot of NES games. Mario 3 I can. But anything otherwise, not really. That's just because Mario 3 is a really good game. And I mean, yeah, Zelda was on it, but I never got into Legend of Zelda. And I still can't get into it now. It just seems boring to me. Nothing against the games, I'm not saying they're bad, they just don't appeal to me. Oh, finally got all the Chaos Emeralds. Too bad we're not going to see Super Knuckles until Ice Cap Zone. But he can become Super Knuckles now. That'll be in the next part. So yeah, 8-bit gaming was a no-go for me. I much prefer 16-bit. Might help that I grew up with the Genesis. But even then, I mean, yeah, I'm a Sega fanboy. I'm not gonna dance around that fact. I don't hate the Super Nintendo though. I mean, a lot of the games don't appeal to me, but then there are some really, really good games on there. Like, Super Mario World is one of my favorite games of all time. And it will be a game I Let's Play on this once I get back into it. It might be a while though, it's not really on the immediate list. And I'll probably end up playing the Game Boy Advance port because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Which is basically the same game, just with a few things changed. Little shortcut here. Jump off to the right. Again, it was something I didn't know you could do. I didn't know you could jump off those. I always saw the extra paths around, but now I know how to get to them. So let's go back into my experience. Oh, excuse me, I got something caught in my throat. Back to my experiences with Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, the next game after Shadow that I got into was Sonic 2006. And plenty has been said about that game already. It's bad, there's not a whole lot I need to say. I fully beat it, and I was young and ignorant and thought it was good. By the way, this is Sonic's path, you can't get through there. But anyway, I thought it was an okay game. I mean, even back when I was young and ignorant, I could see some glaring problems with it. now I see a lot of glaring problems with it. I mean, it was just so rushed and bad. At least the soundtrack was good with it. Me and my brother both agree on that. I mean, he had his world on his iPod for a while. He might even still have it on there. Anyway, here we are, Knuckles' portion of Marble Garden Zone. It's different because we had to climb up that pillar, and we could have tried before, or tried to get up there with Sonic and Tails, but I don't think Tails' stamina lasts long enough to get up there. So with Knuckles, it's another crumbling thing, another race against the falling ceiling. And Knuckles is a lot harder. I almost die here, actually, and this part, as a kid, gave me so much trouble. Anyway, here it is, this part with the relief statue. I just barely make it. What a save. I was glad I got that on tape. Or on record, whatever you want to call it. It's not really on tape. But the boss fight's coming up. It's right around the corner, I think, here. And we are going to see how it's completely different. For one thing, it plays the mini-boss music. Otherwise, he just lets these spike chains go, and then you hit him as he comes by. It's pretty straightforward. If you don't want to be hit, stand in the middle. And be aware, sometimes they can come right at you in the middle. It's not really the ones that come from the top that are a problem, they're pretty easy to dodge. It's the ones that come from the bottom, because they can come out of nowhere. But anyway, you just gotta hit him 8 times and he's down. Like, it's a simple boss fight, and obviously they just had to come up with something, because he doesn't have Tails with him. There we go. Marble Garden is done. I have all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which is good, because then I don't have to search for special rings in the later stages. And I will see you in part 15, where we go into Carnival Night.